you can't fight. When you're really, really sick, you don't have any will to fight.
69-year-old Penny Parkin has always been active and strong, and her only pre-existing condition was an underactive thyroid, which requires her to take one medication. But all of that changed on March 23rd of last year when she believed she was exposed to the coronavirus. Ever since, fatigue and other lingering symptoms have continued to haunt the semi-retired social worker, making her one of thousands of people worldwide known as a long hauler.
Many people try to describe the tired feeling that they have that is really indescribable. It's like no other tiredness that I've ever felt, but it's like you were hit by a truck. There are times when I've actually felt so tired driving, and I have felt like falling asleep at a traffic light.
Parkin believes she was exposed to the virus in Princeton, New Jersey, during a grocery shopping trip after she had rushed to put together a mask out of paper towels and rubber bands.
I was probably in there for maybe half an hour at the most, maybe less than that, but I remember thinking, I'm going to get COVID. I just remember, I just felt like, I think I'm going to get it, because there were so many people walking in front of you without wearing masks. So sure enough, 4 days later, in the afternoon, I started to feel like a scratchy throat, and I started to feel really tired, and by the time I went to bed that night, I knew that I had like a fever, which I never get fever.
By the 10th day, she could barely breathe and was hospitalized and diagnosed with viral pneumonia on top of COVID-19. Parkin, who lives in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, was bedridden for weeks, but by the middle of May, her pneumonia was finally gone, but many lingering symptoms remained. She tested positive for COVID-19 again and had antibodies in her system for 7 months after her original exposure, and she says the exhaustion still overcomes her to this day. She also said exerting minimal physical effort can make her bedridden for days, like after she helped her 85-year-old husband John shovel snow for 20 minutes after a major snowstorm last month.
And I had a setback for 3 days. I was in bed for 3 days after that, meaning like zero energy, like you can't do anything, can barely get out of bed, and you feel like a bus hit you.
Parkin, who received her first COVID-19 vaccine at the beginning of March, will be approaching 1 full year since she believes she caught the virus.
So there is no rhyme or reason as to who gets terribly sick and who doesn't, and also who gets long haul and who gets over it. I guess I'm just doing my little public service announcement, wear your effing mask. And, it's not over yet.